Jenkins powers the CI/CD pipeline for thousands of organizations. When it's vulnerable, attackers don't just get code access, they get the keys to your entire development infrastructure. Today, we're exploiting CVE-2024-23897 in Jenkins 2.441. This is an arbitrary file read vulnerability that escalates to full remote code execution through credential harvesting and the script console. We'll see the complete methodology, from initial discovery through post-exploitation. Every command you see here, you can run against the same lab environment. Let's set up the environment. I'm running Kali Linux with the Docker lab from our GitHub repo. First, let me verify connectivity and check my tools. This lab runs Jenkins 2.441, the exact version affected by CVE-2024-23897. If you're following along, make sure you've got Java 11 or later installed, since we'll need to run the Jenkins command line jar file. Good, Java's installed and I'm on the 10.0.2.0 network. Let me confirm the targets are up. According to the lab setup, Jenkins should be at 10.0.2.10 on port 8080, and there's also a Gitea server at 10.0.2.20. These represent a typical DevOps environment: Jenkins for CI/CD builds and Gitea for source code repositories. Both hosts are responding. Now let me do proper reconnaissance. I'll start with a comprehensive scan of the target subnet. I'm using aggressive timing to speed this up since it's a lab environment, but in a real engagement, you'd want to be more careful about noise. The SC runs default scripts for enumeration, SV probes for service versions, and P scans all 65535 ports. Perfect. Jenkins is running on 10.0.2.10, port 8080, with the agent protocol on 5000. That's exactly what we expected. The nmap scripts detected it's the Jenkins dashboard, and there's a robots.txt file. Let me check what version we're dealing with. I'll also create a working directory to keep things organized. This is standard practice during engagements. It's definitely Jenkins. Now I need to get the exact version number. Jenkins often exposes version information in the HTTP headers or on specific endpoints. Let me check the headers first, then try some common version disclosure endpoints. Excellent. The Jenkins header shows version 2.441. That's exactly the version affected by CVE 2024-23897. This CVE affects Jenkins versions 2.441 and earlier, plus LTS versions 2.426.2 and earlier. It's an arbitrary file read vulnerability in the Jenkins command line that can lead to RCE. Let me research this vulnerability and understand the attack vector. The vulnerability works by abusing how Jenkins command line processes arguments that start with the @ character. Normally, @file name tells the command line to read arguments from a file. But due to improper validation, we can use this to read ANY file on the Jenkins server, not just argument files. The key is that Jenkins will try to process the file contents and leak them in error messages. Let me download the Jenkins command line jar first. Good, I've got the Jenkins command line jar. This is distributed by Jenkins itself for legitimate administration. Now let me test the basic command line functionality first, then we'll exploit the file read vulnerability. The command line requires the S parameter to specify the Jenkins server URL. The command line is working. Now comes the exploitation. The vulnerability is in how Jenkins processes the @ character. When I use @/etc/password, Jenkins tries to read that file as if it contains command line arguments. Since /etc/password doesn't contain valid arguments, Jenkins will throw an error. But that error message includes the file contents. Let me try reading /etc/password first. Perfect. The vulnerability is working. Jenkins read the entire /etc/password file and leaked it in the error message. Look at that output. I can see all the system users, including a Jenkins user at UID 1000 with home directory /var Jenkins home. This confirms we have arbitrary file read capability. Now let me target Jenkins specific configuration files to find credentials. Jenkins stores sensitive configuration in var Jenkins home. The most interesting files are config.xml for global config, users/username, config.xml for user data, and secrets directory for encrypted credentials. Let me try reading the main config.xml first to understand the Jenkins setup. Good! I can read the main config.xml. The important detail here is that security is enabled with Hudson Private Security Realm, meaning Jenkins has its own user database. Now I need to find user credentials. Jenkins stores user information in a var Jenkins home users /username config.xml. But first, let me see what users exist by checking the user's directory. The file doesn't exist. Let me try a different approach. Jenkins might have been set up with an initial admin user. The default admin user is often created during initial setup. Let me try common usernames like admin, administrator, or check for the initial setup password file. Jackpot! I found the admin user's config file and there's a bcrypt password hash. The hash is 2A10 DGF4FE8Y and EJSO I Sharan Somsaki Koalq2 CG8PX E9H1 SFGA 8M4C RZBVGT/6. This is exactly what we need. Let me save this hash and try to crack it. Bcrypt is slow to crack, but Jenkins users often use weak passwords, especially in development environments. Before I start the time-consuming hash cracking process, let me check for other credential sources. Jenkins also stores API tokens, SSH keys, and other secrets. Sometimes there are plain text secrets in credential stores or configuration files. Let me explore more of the Jenkins home directory structure. The secret files contain binary data that's not easily readable through this exploitation method. Let me try cracking the password hash instead. I'll use hashcat with mode 3200 for bcrypt. Since this is a lab environment, I'll start with a common passwords list. In a real engagement, you'd run this on a dedicated cracking rig. Excellent, the password cracked in under 4 minutes. It's admin123, exactly the kind of weak password you'd expect in a development environment. Now I have credentials, admin123. Time to authenticate to the Jenkins web interface and escalate to remote code execution. Let me log into the Jenkins dashboard. Perfect! I'm logged into Jenkins as admin. Now for the remote code execution. Jenkins has a powerful feature called the script console that allows administrators to run Groovy scripts directly on the server. This is intended for administration, but it's also a perfect RCE vector. The script console is under Managed Jenkins. Let me navigate there. Now I'm at the script console. This runs Groovy code directly on the Jenkins server with full system privileges. I'll create a reverse shell payload. In Groovy, I can execute system commands and create network connections. Let me prepare a reverse shell script. First, I'll set up a netcat listener on my attacking machine. Let me create a Groovy reverse shell script. This will use Java's process builder to execute a bash command that creates a TCP connection back to my machine. The script redirects stdin, stdout, and stdir through the network socket, giving me a full interactive shell. I've prepared the reverse shell script. Now I need to start my netcat listener in another terminal session. In a real engagement, I'd use a terminal multiplexer like tmux or screen, but for this demo, I'll simulate it. The key point is that I need the listener running before I execute the payload in Jenkins. Now I'll execute the reverse shell payload in the Jenkins script console. I'll paste the Groovy script and run it. If successful, this should give me a shell connection back to my netcat listener with the privileges of the Jenkins process, typically the Jenkins user, or even root in some configurations. Excellent. The reverse shell connected successfully. I now have command execution on the Jenkins server as the Jenkins user. Let me explore the system to understand what I've compromised. First, let me check my user context, then explore the system for additional attack vectors or valuable data. Perfect! I'm running as the Jenkins user on the build CI host. This is significant because Jenkins often stores sensitive information like SSH keys, API tokens, and credentials for accessing other systems in the CI/CD pipeline. Let me check what's in the Jenkins home directory and look for additional credentials or lateral movement opportunities. I can see the complete Jenkins directory structure now. The secrets directory is particularly interesting. It contains encryption keys and potentially stored credentials. Let me also check if there are any SSH keys or other valuable files that could help with lateral movement to other systems in the environment. Excellent! I found SSH private keys in the admin users directory. This is a goldmine. Jenkins administrators often store SSH keys for accessing production servers, Git, repositories, and other infrastructure. Let me check if there are any deployment jobs or configurations that show what systems this key might access. Perfect. The deployment job shows this SSH key is used to connect to 10.0.2.20 as the deploy user. That's the Gitea server we discovered earlier. This represents a classic lateral movement opportunity. The compromised CI/CD server has keys to access other infrastructure components. Let me test this SSH key against the target system. Outstanding! The SSH key worked. and I now have access to the Git internal server as the deploy user. This demonstrates the full impact of the Jenkins compromise. It's not just about the CI/CD server itself, but about all the systems it can reach. A compromised Jenkins server often provides access to production deployments, source code repositories, and sensitive infrastructure. Now, let's talk defense. As a security professional, you need to understand both sides of this equation. How would defenders detect and prevent this attack? Let me show you the log entries this attack would generate and the security controls that should be in place to prevent it. The most critical defense is patching. CVE-2024-23897 was fixed in Jenkins 2.442 and LTS 2.426.3. But beyond patching, organizations need to treat CI/CD systems as high-value targets. They should be on isolated network segments, have strong authentication, and comprehensive logging. The script console should be disabled if not needed, or at least restricted to specific IP ranges. From a detection perspective, this attack generates several indicators. The initial command line exploitation creates unusual Java process activity and multiple connect node commands with file paths as arguments. The password cracking attempt shows failed authentication followed by a successful login from the same IP. The script console usage creates process spawning events and network connections. This isn't theoretical. CVE-2024-23897 was discovered in January 2024 and affects thousands of Jenkins instances worldwide. Similar vulnerabilities in CI/CD systems have been exploited in major breaches, including the SolarWinds attack, where compromised build systems led to supply chain attacks affecting thousands of organizations. The methodology we demonstrated today, finding vulnerable services, exploiting file read vulnerabilities, harvesting credentials, and pivoting to other systems, is exactly how real attackers operate. Here's every command we used today, organized by attack phase. Screenshot this for your methodology notes. This is the complete Jenkins exploitation chain, from reconnaissance through lateral movement. Each phase builds on the previous one, showing how a single vulnerability escalates into full infrastructure compromise. That's a complete Jenkins exploitation, from CVE discovery to lateral movement across CI/CD infrastructure. We went from zero access to controlling both the build server and the Git repository system. This demonstrates why CI/CD security is critical and why organizations need to treat these systems as high-value targets. The lab environment is available in the description. Every command we ran you can execute against the same vulnerable Jenkins instance. If this helped you understand modern infrastructure exploitation, subscribe for more hands-on security tutorials. Next week we're diving into container escape techniques. Thanks for watching.